News Talk 820 WBAP and now on FM at 93.3. Make it a preset, y'all. 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. That's 800-288-WBAP. Can you believe another assassination attempt in 2 months? When was the last time you had heard of a president having 2 attempted assassinations? Do you honestly think that there's not going to be a third and a fourth? Why is the Secret Service unable to protect the president as if he is the president? Why has he not been getting the same attention as the sitting president has? You know, Elon Musk got in trouble for tweeting out something yesterday or today about, why hasn't anybody tried to assassinate Kamala or Biden? And he was excoriated for that. And actually, if he would have worded it differently, it would have been so spot on. So he said something of that nature. It was a little more inflammatory and inappropriate. But really, why is it just Trump that we're hearing about? Why is it just Trump with these attempts? And I don't wish it on anybody. But how come Trump is the one getting repeated assassination attempts? And how come how come they're so close? Do you realize this guy that was arrested at the Trump golf course there in Miami area, in South Florida, do you realize that he was 40 feet from the putting, let me make sure I get this right, because it's golfing terms, and I don't want to say this incorrectly. He was 120 feet from the putting green and 40 feet from the cart path. Now, I don't think they're going to be the President Trump, who I've seen, driving his own golf cart most every time he's been in a golf cart, I think every time. So this guy was going to be 40 feet from Donald Trump. Can you fathom that? Now, AK-47s are horribly bad as far as accuracy is my understanding. I shot them, but I've heard they're poor. But let me tell you something. He had a scope, and if he had it scoped out properly, then that's different as far as I'm concerned. I'm no expert. But 40 feet is a disgrace. 40 feet is an easy hit with a handgun. That little I know. A rifle. I mean, this was almost no possibility of missing. 40 feet from the cart path as he was going to drive by. He was on the previous hole. And the threat was when he was going to get to, if I'm saying this correctly, let me look at this here, the 6th hole. Because he was literally 40 feet from the cart path and 120 feet from the green. I mean, this is incredible. And he was waiting for the president to be on the 6th hole, not on the 5th hole. If you look at a diagram, and I put this up, it's on my Twitter feed, it's on my Instagram and Twitter, at Chris Crock Show, CHRISKROK. That's CHRISKROK. If you're following me on my Facebook Live on the Chris Crock Show Facebook page, at Chris Crock Show, CHRISKROK. Follow me on all those, by the way. If you aren't, what's wrong with you? You can see the diagram. I'm holding it up. So Trump is at the 6th hole. The gunman was 40 feet from Trump. I mean, you look at this picture from the Daily Mail, this graphic they drew, it's beyond stunning. I mean, he was basically right next to Trump if he would have driven by in the golf cart in a little bit. And the only reason that he was spotted is because the barrel of the gun was just through the fence. If the barrel of the gun wasn't through the fence, ready to shoot, he wouldn't have been spotted. And the reason why he was spotted by the Secret Service agent is because he was scouting ahead on the hole ahead. This is insanity. This is unbelievable. And now we got to say, well, which one are you talking about? Which assassination attempt are you talking about when people talk about it? Which one, the first or the second? I don't think there's any doubt that there's going to be a third and a fourth. And if they try to make this man, and some people were saying this today, well, maybe you shouldn't go out on the golf course and rethink his public. BS. He will not do that. And that's one of the reasons why we love him so much. And I do believe the government, the Democrats have contributed to an environment that makes an assassination attempt and foments it, makes it more likely. It's contributing to the environment. And I do blame the Democrats and the media for saying the man is Hitler, Hitler, Hitler. There is only one thing to do with Hitler: kill him. And they have been calling him Hitler and Mussolini for years. And I also am suspicious of the Secret Service. I think they're no better than the FBI. I think they all hate Trump. I think 60 to 70% of them hate Trump. I think 30% of them are like you and me. I think they've been weeding him out for the past 6 to 8 years. I'll give you more details on that when you see who the head of the FBI is that's investigating this shooting. You're not going to believe who the head of the FBI is that they've put over this investigation in South Florida. It's horrifying to me. All right, lines wide open. Chime in right now. Lines wide open. We got time to pop you on right now at 800-288-WBAP, 800-288-9227. Who or what do you fault for these assassination attempts? Why do you think they keep happening? Do you expect more, as I do? I'm horrified even thinking that, but I do expect more. And I swear to God, the latest tactic seems to be that let him die, because he's going to win. You notice that Kamala stopped saying that Trump's a threat to democracy. Yeah. And Trump was right when he said this. They're the threat to democracy, and he's right. So who or what do you fault for these assassination attempts? Why do you think they keep happening? Do you expect more? And have the Democrats made this environment even worse after the second attempt by continuing to say stuff? And you know, the Babylon Bee had the best headline of the day. They had two of the best headlines. One is Kamala is safe and in stable condition after an attempted interview. We're going to talk about that later. And another one is Democrats accuse Trump of inciting further violence by not dying. That is exactly what they have said. That is exactly what they have said in the last 48 hours. That Democrats are accusing Trump of inciting further violence by not dying. They keep getting disappointed that he's not dead. That is a fact. They will not be sad when he dies. They will pretend, but they will say, you know what, though? He really brought it on himself. This man must win this election. He now must win this election. That is all there is. I mean, I think a lot of people that are sitting at home going, I hate this guy, but I love his policies, and they're obviously trying to kill him, which means he's obviously going to be a non-politician and help us the best. I think this shows how much you got to vote for him, and that we have to have him in as president. Robert in Dallas, WBAP.
Yeah, thanks for taking my call. The morning news, I don't know if you're a fan of it, but I was just reading.
No, I'm not a fan of the Dallas Morning News, no.
I didn't think so.
A broken clock is right twice a day. They have some good reporting, definitely from time to time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, they were saying that the Secret Service agents were a few holes ahead of Trump when they spotted the shooter. So
yes, one hole.
Yeah, but that's more than, there's no way the shooter was 40 feet from Trump. I think, is that what you said?
Well, you have to understand something. Where he was, where the sniper's nest is that you've seen pictures of, is exactly 40 feet from the cart path. That means he was going to be 40 feet from Trump. And you understand the only reason why the only reason why they got this guy is because he was too stupid. He was stupid enough to poke the barrel of the gun through the fence. If he didn't poke it through the fence, they would not have seen it. And then he would have probably killed him. But he would have killed him.
I think earlier you made it sound like he was, or at least that's the way I understood it.
No, I said 40 feet. I said 40 feet from the cart path. I've got it right in front of me. I read verbatim.
He was going to, but he wasn't at the time.
I did not say he was. I said he was at the fifth hole. They were on the sixth hole, scoping it out when they saw this. I said it clearly. Maybe you misheard me.
He was a sitting duck if they don't see him.
He was 40 feet from a rifle that's been scoped apparently, and he was 120 feet from the green.
He would have been.
No, you're not listening to me. Who are we talking about here? Who's the perpetrator? Who are we talking about?
The shooter and Trump.
I repeatedly keep saying that the gun was 40 feet from the green, 40 feet from the cart path, and 120 foot from the green. So I'm sorry you keep getting confused.
Oh, okay.
I can't say it any more simpler or say it again and again.
Either way.
There's no either way. I've not been. I've been clear.
I know,
Go ahead.
But either way, he's so close. She's a sitting duck, unless the Secret Service, doesn't, because the Secret Service saw him. So
he could pull the trigger with his pinky toe and kill them
exactly,
at that distance.
Thank God they saw.
What do you think, though?
Okay.
Who or what do you fault for the assassination attempt, and why do they keep happening? Do you expect more? And have the Democrats made this environment worse after the second attempt?
Oh, of course, yeah. I mean, they want him dead, obviously, and it's probably going to happen again. We just need to be vigilant and make sure that they really are watching over him.
Do you believe the Secret Service, as a whole, hates Trump and is out to get him, and therefore is giving him worse protection?
I don't think his inner circle, but I think, obviously people in the government just don't like him. I mean, they hate him, obviously. The Democrats literally hate him.
Yes.
So,
don't you think, though, the same amount of people that are in the FBI that seek to destroy Trump and his presidency are similarly the same numbers of people who feel the same way about Trump are in the Secret Service? And therefore, while they won't intentionally push him out in front of a bullet, that they're doing everything they can to not do the right coverage because they just hate him?
I'm just a lowly Dallas citizen. I don't know.
Well, so am I. Well, I don't live in Dallas, but
obviously they're out to get. Obviously they're out to get him, though.
Yeah, Listen, Joe Biden reportedly, I heard this today, ordered after the assassination attempt, the Secret Service, which is directly under him. Do you know that? They're under Department of Justice. They used to be under Treasury, and that's DOJ, and that's Joe Biden. And he ordered them to give Trump the same protection as him. And after the first one, well, certainly that wasn't happening. And you heard the sheriff of that county say, who was also working security with the Secret Service, this is not, and I can play it for you, I have it in my audio, but he literally said, this is not the same level. The coverage is not the same level of a president. So literally, the Secret Service did not give him the same level as Biden, after supposedly Biden told them directly to do that. He's their boss.
Right. Yeah. Well, like I said, the state's out to get him. That's for sure. I
appreciate your call, Robert. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Okay. All right. Coming up next is Randy in Fort Worth. We got 4 lines now open. Chime in right now at 800-288-WBAP is our number. 800-288-9227. Who or what do you fault for these assassination attempts? Plural. I swear to you, the president of Ghana gets better protection than ours. And why do you think they keep happening? Why do these assassinations keep happening? And do you expect more? And have the Democrats made the environment even worse before, during, and after the second attempt? And do you think the media and Democrats will stop demonizing and attacking Trump? Do you think they're going to stop him? Stop doing that so much? No, I don't. I think they're not going to be satisfied until he's dead or in jail. And even when he's in jail, they're going to still want him dead. We have so much more to cover on this. Is this guy an agent of Iran or another foreign state? Iran is trying to actively kill Trump, according to their own government, and has been since around the first assassination attempt. They want to kill Trump because he will destroy them. He will bring them to their knees, put them in handcuffs, and tie a noose around their neck, and put a 500-pound rock on them and throw them into the sea and have them tied up to the tree on the noose in the neck at the same time. They want him dead because he will make them dead. And I'm serious. That's next on the Chris Kroc Show, including who is that FBI official that's now in charge of the investigation in South Florida, the second attempted assassination? This is going to make you beyond disgusted and beyond mad. That, I'll tell you why, in 2 minutes, 8:20 on WBAP. We have one more segment on this, then we're going to pause for a segment and go right to the man who helped craft the policy that was just introduced and the decisions by Governor Abbott to declare Tren De Aragua a state terror organization today, and that he's massively going after them. He's going to break their back. The man who helped him craft this very policy will be on the show at 8:30, and he could only come on at 8:30, so we're going to take him at 8:30, and then we jump back into what we're talking about right now, the Trump assassination attempt number 2 at 8:45, plus right now at 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. In fact, let's start here on News Talk 820 WBAP and now on FM at 93.3 with your call as well at 800-288-WBAP, 800-288-9227. Who or what do you fault for this assassination attempt? Second one, all of them actually. Why do you think they keep happening, and do you expect more? Have the Democrats made this environment even worse and worse, even more after the second attempt? And do you think the media and Democrats will stop demonizing and attacking Trump so viciously after this? No, they will not. I blame them partially for their rhetoric and encouraging crazy leftists. This guy, by the way, this second assassination attempter, has donated to Democrats Act Blue. That's a radical left banner for all Democrat stuff. 19 times. 19 donations since 2019. It's on my Twitter feed. You can see the whole list of all the donations that he gave over and over and over again to Act Blue between 3/16/20 to 3/15/19, all the way through. So there you go, 19 donations. He hates Trump, and it shows. Let me play you a top Harris spokesperson and surrogate Representative Plaskett on MSNBC. Listen to this.
Having Trump not only have had the codes, but now having the classified information for Americans and being able to put that out and share it in his resort with anyone and everyone who comes through should be terrifying to all Americans. And he needs to be stopped.
Stopped. What? Here's a little bit more.
Let's not pretend that Donald Trump isn't exactly like Mussolini, exactly like Hitler. He is that guy.
Domestic terrorism is a real thing, and he is the guy that stokes it.
All he's doing is riling up his base and inciting violence in horrible rhetoric.
All right, there's more, but I'm going to pause right there, and let's go to Wayne in South Texas. Wayne, hello, you're on WBAP.
Hey, buddy, how's it going?
Good, how are you?
Oh, man, okay, this guy, tell me about this guy that was the shooter. Can you elaborate on him? Was he some kind of what was this guy? What was he? I mean, obviously
he's a radical Ukrainian activist who went to Ukraine and cries and screams over Ukraine. He is a 19-time voter for 19-time donor of Democrats, and he despises Trump, obviously, and was going to kill him.
Boy, that would be terrible if that happened, and I sure hope it does not happen. But I've got a feeling if it did happen, that it reminds me of the time whenever they ambushed that guy over there in Waco, and then that Timothy McVeigh went up there and blew up that building in Oklahoma City. It reminds me of that, because if they did that, I think we could be headed towards some type of a civil unrest.
Well, I hope not, but it'll be a great way to make sure that Kamala wins the election by killing her opponent. And this is clearly inspiring more and more and more people to kill the president, and he will not back down. The only thing that's going to stop this is if he wins, and he's got to win now. By the way, look at how disgusting the Democrats are. Hakeem Jeffries, 2 hours after Trump's second assassination attempt, tweeted, "Extreme MAGA Republicans are the party of national abortion ban and Trump's Project 2025. We must stop them." Hakeem, we're trying to kill him. We're fighting for you. We're warriors for you, Hakeem, and all the Democrats. We're trying to murder the president, Hakeem. Keep encouraging us. You're doing a great job of trying to get President Trump dead. Obviously, I'm being facetious, not serious, but this guy is being serious. This guy is saying, you didn't finish the job. Finish the job. Finish the job. You have the green light. Finish the job. That's what I hear from the Democrats at the highest levels. He's the leader for the entire Democrat Party in the House. All right, coming up next, we're going to talk to the man who helped craft the policies and decisions on the official government decision by Governor Abbott, state of Texas, to declare Tren De Aragua, the Venezuelan migrant illegal violent gang that's MS-13 on steroids that Joe and Kamala personally let in, thousands and thousands of them. My friend helped create that policy. He's a Newsmax Border Correspondent, and he's a retired DPS captain who was in charge of border operations and much more. That is next on the Chris Crock Show on News Talk 820 WBAP and now on FM at 93.3. News Talk 820 WBAP now on FM at 93.3. Make it a preset, y'all. 800-288-WBAP, 800-288-9227. Today, Governor Abbott announcing he is declaring Tren De Aragua a foreign terrorist organization. He will aggressively target them and disrupt their criminal activities and deny their foothold in our state, and so much more. He announced today, and I am really privileged to find out that longtime friend of this show and retired captain for DPS in Texas, who was in charge of border operations and counterintelligence and many other things, is now a Newsmax border correspondent. Jaeson Jones helped craft this policy, I understand. Jaeson, welcome back to the show, and thank you very much for your time tonight, sir.
Oh, Chris, it's great to be with you, buddy, and thanks for having me.
Oh, thank you. So tell me, what can you tell us about this new policy? And, when you're involved in it, that means it's going to work. Talk to me about why it's going to work and about this new policy and what's so awesome to hear about for us to be protected, because we know Tren De Aragua is in El Paso. We know they're here in North Dallas now, which is insane that Dallas police have confirmed that. I believe I've heard stories about that, and they're in San Antonio. Tell me about that and tell me what you got.
Sure. Well, first, it's good to be with you, man. And I want to sit here for a second and really thank the Governor Greg Abbott. Great work here, along with the director of the Texas Department of Public Safety, to put this into focus, but more importantly, to provide a unity of effort behind this. So you heard today the governor said a few things that may be new terminology for a lot of folks listening. First off, he talked about he's going to make them a Tier 1 gang. Now, I was directly involved in that process. And what that all has to do with is that the nucleus of all of the pain that we feel is the Mexican cartels. And what has happened in the state of Texas is that our U.S.-based street gangs synergy with the cartels we found was fundamentally incredible. They were basically contracting with the cartels. So what the governor and what the Department of Public Safety has done, you heard him talking about these 9 different anti-gang centers across the state. What they're now going to do by designating them as a foreign terrorist organization, along with tiering them as a priority target, that means of the 2,600 Texas-based law enforcement agencies at local, state, and federal, the governor has now said this is priority number 1. And any gang that is designated as a priority target of what we call a Tier 1 gang is now the priority of every local, state, and federal law enforcement officer. Not only that, to include the attorney's offices, so that we can unilaterally go after them amongst everyone in what they call a unified command. Now, Chris, I just want to say this, too. I've been in those meetings privately, and I can tell you right now, from the state's level and their perspective, they don't care where these people go, these Tren De Aragua, as long as they don't go to the state of Texas. And the goal here is to keep them from creating these routes where they embed with Sereños or MS-13 and collaborate with these cartels. That's what the goal here is, because they're new. They're just coming in, and we have the ability to uproot them and get them out of the state very rapidly, very quickly, and that's exactly what the governor's trying to do.
That's amazing, Jaeson, to hear all that. And so that what this does is make the number 1 priority from the state to our local law enforcement, our DAs, and such to go after this gang as the top threat. Is that accurate?
That's exactly right. And look, where is the federal government right now?
That's what I wanted to ask you. Is Joe Biden doing anything? Why isn't Joe or Kamala doing anything like this? Are they?
No one is doing anything. I mean, this is where and why I've come public and why I'm so frustrated. This should be a unity of effort across the nation. We're on a weekly basis working with DEA Special Operations Division, HSI, FBI. They are doing weekly bust outs directly targeting Tren De Aragua and also the Mexican cartels. We see 0 operations. And of the 50 states across this great, great country, we see one state and one set of leaders stepping up to say, we don't care where you go, but you're not coming here. And that's exactly the mantra and the mindset that we need, because we don't need these criminals who are operating. You got to remember, when you talk about Tren De Aragua, you're talking about a transnational gang since 2018 that's been working as far down as Colombia, working side by side with the FARC, which is a former designated foreign terrorist organization by the U.S. government. These are people working and collaborating with the Mexican cartels and a whole range of other transnational organizations. And what the governor is doing should be happening across this country, and all we see is weakness and cowardice instead of standing up against these people.
Jaeson, my next question is, How much of a threat is Tren De Aragua to us in the United States, to our citizens, people like you and me, and our daughters, our wives, our children? And where are they in this country? I understand they're in Texas, obviously. Are they in every city in Texas, as far as you're aware, every major city? And in the U.S., is it just Aurora, Colorado, and Denver, if you will, Chicago, Georgia, New York City, rural Wisconsin, on the border of, I think, Minnesota and Wisconsin? It's unbelievable. A man hatcheting them, the two women, a woman and a daughter, to death, or at least hatcheting them and sexually assaulting both of them for hours tied up.
We as Americans, we have to understand that we are in a new era, and I say this publicly all the time, and it's important that your listeners truly understand that this is a new era of public safety crisis, the likes of which none of us have seen. And I'm not trying to be an alarmist here. I'm being a realist. We have seen 12.5 million people, if you include the known gotaways, who have come in this country in the last 3.5 years. We've never seen anything like it. And with that, groups like Tren De Aragua, MS-13, spies, cartels, etc. That's why we're seeing such an increase in hyper-violence. You know, today on Newsmax, I was covering a family of 4 who were brutally stabbed and killed by an illegal alien who was in this country from the Dominican Republic. He was wanted in 2019 on another homicide in the Dominican Republic, and he just killed, through a brutal stabbing, a father 30 years of age, a mother 26, a 4-year-old, and a 2-year-old. This is what I've trying to warn about for the last few years about what was coming here if we opened our borders to the world, and we're now seeing it. So now when you talk specifically about Tren De Aragua, what you have to understand is just one hypercell of so many that are now here walking among us, and that's what makes it a public safety crisis. You're going to hear from a lot of these so-called experts about the national security, and they're worried about national security is about preventing the problem from coming here. It is now here, and it is now a public safety crisis to all of us and the families that we love in this great country. And so it's very important that the U.S. law enforcement illuminate this. Now, I first began hearing about Tren De Aragua entering the state of Texas in El Paso when I was on the ground there on the border in December of 22. And incredible agents were informing me about, look, you've got to be careful. You may remember this because, Chris, I was coming on your show at the time when we were overrun in the downtown area of El Paso. Well, Tren De Aragua would come in, and they were already extorting them for the piso, which is the tax. They were taxing migrants at that time. And I had never even heard of them. Now I can tell you, working with agents in a division that I don't want to mention here on the public radio, but they are in every major city in the state of Texas. And this is exactly why the governor and the director have come out so aggressive today to take action against all of them and go after them as a priority.
Wow. I read up on some of their tactics. I don't know if you caught the Wall Street Journal piece the other day. If you don't pay your tax as a business owner, they will cut you up into pieces and leave up in a bag like your head or your leg in front of the store the next day. Finding people's bodies dismembered and put in cement, under 4 feet of cement in a suitcase. Taking away the Colombian cartels, challenging the largest drug cartel in Colombia in that state or that country, being in about 5 different countries, I believe, in Latin America, and now here. Elaborate on their methods and how horrifying they are. Some of the worst things that we can start seeing here in America, since they're here everywhere now. They're all over this country. They're everywhere now, aren't they?
They are. And look, we have to be open and honest. Our government did this to us.
Yeah, to make it clear, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris did this when they opened up the borders 3.5 years ago, correct?
That's exactly right. Look, I would ask any reasonable and prudent person listening right now, did you ever even hear of a gang called Tren De Aragua?
Never. Nobody has.
Exactly. That's exactly my point. Now, look, let me give you some hard numbers here. Since this administration, there have been, and I've got the data right here, and for anyone listening, you can go directly to CBP and type in National Encounters. There have been 872,484 Venezuelans who have come into this country in just the last 3.5 years.
Did you say 800? 800 and what?
Yeah, 872,484.
So, Jaeson, we don't know which one of those are Tren De Aragua because Venezuela has no records. They have no criminal records. These are Tren De Aragua was a gang, a prison gang in the state of Aragua in Venezuela. They were put in charge by the governor of Aragua, in charge of the whole prison. They ran the prison, and then when they were freed off parole, they had to leave the country. And they've been going in all these countries all over the world, and they've come here because Joe and Kamala let them. How many thousands do you believe are here now? If you had to guess,
tens of thousands.
Huh?
A reasonable expectation is tens of thousands. But I also want to be very clear here. This is easy stuff. This is low-hanging fruit. They are nothing compared to what we're going to be facing with the Mexican cartels. And what the fear here is that there's going to be synergy between them and gangs like other Latin American gangs like Sureños, MS-13, and others, that they'll integrate with them and become a hyper problem. And so that's why they're trying to take these initiatives. But I want to be very clear to all the listeners. This is low-hanging fruit. This is easy stuff. If you wonder where this ends, look to Mexico, because what they're trying to stop is that synergy between Tren De Aragua and the cartels.
I've been told they already have synergy with MS-13 in Chicago and New York.
No doubt. That is absolutely happening. And I will also tell you this. Watch Tren De Aragua in the future. Another thing the federal government has not come out and been honest about is they are here to conduct disruption operations in the United States, and much of that has been paid for by the Maduro regime in Venezuela. And U.S. Border Patrol intel, along with state intel and others, have confirmed that to me on multiple occasions. And that's why what you saw in Aurora, Colorado, that's why what you've seen in Chicago. This is just the beginning when it comes to this gang. And that's why it's so important. I don't care what they've done in South America. I don't care what they're doing globally. What I care about is how it impacts the American people who are listening right now. And if we could get that synergy between federal agencies across this country, state and local, and every week just be pounding them and remind them, we don't care where they go, but they're not staying here in this country. And we had that mindset, we could absolutely get them out of this country and fix this problem before they come rooted like MS-13 and others that should have never been allowed to do the same thing.
I firmly believe that it will not happen under President Kamala, that they'll gain super strength under Kamala versus a Trump. Based on I know you don't do politics, but based on the policies, is that quite possible, what I'm saying? Or is that what's going to happen if you had to guess?
Well, look at the last 3.5 years. The trend has already been established. And, buddy, I've got to go.
Okay, go. You got a flight.
But I want to say this to you, and I mean this to everyone listening. Don't let anyone for a second tell you this is unfixable. But I'm going to tell you we got to get rid of these cowardice leaders that we have in the Homeland Security enterprise, from federal and local law enforcement, and get some leaders that are willing to stand up and protect the American people. God bless you.
God bless you.
Everyone listening, great to be with you.
Safe flight. What a privilege. Take care, brother. All right, that's Jaeson Jones. He has to go. He's catching his next flight. He gave me time on a layover in Atlanta. He is a longtime friend of this show and a longtime contributor. And everything that I say about Kamala and Joe, for the suburban wine moms who are like, I'm never voting for Trump, I hate Trump, Kamala makes me feel good. You are possibly the next person that will be raped, tortured. Civilians are not being spared at all. The small town in Wisconsin, Prairie du Chien, it's on the border of either Wisconsin and Minnesota or Wisconsin and Iowa. It's in BFE, if you will. It's in the middle of nowhere. And a mother and a daughter were tied up and raped. He went from raping the mom to the daughter to the mom to the daughter over and over again for hours. These are women in rural Wisconsin. They are not gangbangers or terrorists. I don't know about you, but I mean, I have extensive time in rural areas in Wisconsin and Minnesota and Illinois, being from the Midwest, and they're everywhere. You heard him say that he believes, I'm going to say this again, you're not going to believe this, tens of thousands of Tren De Aragua gang members. None of them existed in this country until Joe Biden and Kamala let in tens of thousands of them. 872,404 Venezuelans have been let in with no vetting at all, because there is no paperwork. That government of Venezuela is run by a dictator, is not cooperating with anything with us. And you also heard him say that the Mexican government is synergizing and working with these terrorists, and they are terrorists, to cause disruption in our government and in our civilian population, our ways of life. They are doing what Iran and China are doing. They are undermining how we run our country, how we live, how we die, who will be raped, murdered, and killed. And they are disrupting this country and the peacefulness of this country to destroy it. And you have now been put on notice from a man who helped put this policy together and continues to work directly with counterintelligence and counterterrorism officials in Texas and in the country. So it's real and it's here. Tens of thousands of Venezuelan terrorists called Tren De Aragua are in America. And I want to know how you feel about that. I want to know how much of a threat you feel that Kamala and Joe have put in our country. How much of a threat do you think this super gang is? It's been described in the Wall Street Journal by federal counterintelligence and counterterrorism officials as MS-13 on steroids. So they didn't exist in America until Joe and Kamala let them in. This is the most disgusting flashing of anger in my veins, and it better be through your veins. They are destroying this country, and they will not be removed, as Jaeson said, because they're cowards, and they did this. And they will allow it to flourish and get a full stranglehold / foothold on every major city in Texas. They are synergizing in Chicago and New York together with MS-13, and that's the danger when they synergize with another cartel. We are screwed. Our cops will die. The word has already gone out, as news published reports have said, to kill a cop. If they get in your way or they stand in your way, just kill them from Tren De Aragua. And we are nothing. We are to be used and chewed up and spit out. That would be the nice way for them to treat us. All right, your feelings on this and what you have to say about this now that you know that Tren De Aragua is here in tens of thousands of numbers. Coming up next, 800-288-WBAP is our number. What line's wide open? 800-288-9227 on News Talk 820 WBAP and now on FM at 93.3.